I'm going to repeat the translation. The Supreme Lord is unlimited. Only a very expert personality, retired from the activities of material happiness, deserves to understand this knowledge of spiritual values. Therefore, those who are not well situated due to material attachment should be shown the ways of transcendental realization. By your goodness, through description of the transcendental activities of the Supreme Lord. Purport. Theological science is a difficult subject, especially when it deals with the transcendental nature of God. It is not a subject matter to be understood by persons who are too much attached to material activities. Only the very expert who have almost retired from material activities or materialistic activities by culture of spiritual knowledge can be admitted to the study of this great science. In Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that of many hundreds and thousands of men, only one person deserves to enter into transcendental realization. And out of many thousands of such transcendentally realized persons, only a few can understand the theological science specifically dealing with God as a person. Srila Vyasadeva is therefore advised by Narad to describe the science of God directly by relating his transcendental activities. Vyasadeva himself is a personality expert in this science, and he is unattached to material enjoyment. Therefore, he is the right person to describe it. And Sukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, is the right person to receive it. Srimad Bhagavatam is the topmost theological science, and therefore it can react on the layman as medicinal doses. Because it contains the transcendental activities of the Lord, there is no difference between the Lord and the literature. Literature is the factual literary incarnation of the Lord. So the layman can hear the narration of the activities of the Lord, thereby they are able to associate with the Lord and thus gradually become purified from material diseases. The expert devotees also can discover novel ways and means to convert the non-devotees in terms of particular time and circumstances. Devotional service is dynamic activity, and the expert devotee can find out competent means to inject it into the dull brains of the materialistic population. Such transcendental activities of the devotees for the service of the Lord can bring a new order of life to the foolish society of materialistic men. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his subsequent followers exhibited expert dexterity in this connection. By following the same method, one can bring the materialistic men of this age of quarrel into order for peaceful life and transcendental realizations. Om Jnanam Timirindasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajiva Sadvaitam Savdutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishvanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarucha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Vikshakshano Vichakshano Asyarati Vedutam Vibhoranantaparasya Nivrattitam Sukam Pravartamanasya Guneranatmanas Tato Bhavanadarshi Chestitam Vibho. Supreme Lord is unlimited. Only a very expert personality, retired from the activities of material happiness, deserve to understand this knowledge of spiritual values. Therefore, those who are not so well situated due to material attachment should be shown the way of transcendental realization by your goodness through description of the transcendental activities of the Supreme Lord. So here we are seeing a conversation between Devarishi Narad and Vyasadeva. We have been hearing that the heart of Vyasadeva is not content, even though he has written almost practically all the aspects of Vedic literature, and therefore now to remove his resentment or grief or guilt in heart, Narad Rishi has appeared before him, and he is humbly presenting himself before his spiritual master to expertly detect what are the flaws in the writings that he has presented so far. And Narad Muni expertly advised him that you have overemphasized on the four types of Purushartha as well as all kinds of materialistic um, karma kanda activities. But we have not been able to highlight the transcendental activities of the Supreme Lord, which creates or cultivates um, devotional emotions in the heart of living entity, which are the only way by which they can come closer to the Lord and achieve perfection and get out of this 8.4 million species of life. Continuing the same conversation, Narad Muni is now saying that it is not easy. It is not easy to understand this science of Krishna consciousness because it deals with somebody who is unlimited. Krishna is described as unlimited. It is not easy to understand Krishna, specifically for those who are struggling with their senses. Mameva vamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha manah shashtani indriyani prakritisthani karshyati. Manha Shashtani Indriyani. This living entity, which is part and parcel of myself, Krishna is saying that this living entity, who is part and parcel of me, they are struggling, Mana Shashtani Indriyani, with mind, six kind of senses, Mana Shashtani Indriyani. So this struggle which goes on in the mind of living entity. It will never let his mind be peaceful and restful. One has to be retired from materialistic activities. But retirement of material activities, Prabhupada has very humbly complemented that by how do you retire from material activities? You retire from material activities by culture of spiritual knowledge. We have to really appreciate the choice of words Prabhupada has been using. Culture of spiritual knowledge. Spiritual knowledge is not just a study that we can just pick up the book, study, and finish. No, it is a culture. It has to be lived. It is a culture in which the whole society has to live. A culture which can bring everybody together for single united goal of life to achieve love of God. If we have that kind of culture, then the materialistic nature or activities, the Prabhupada is saying one would retire from materialistic activities. It's not the age of retirement that we understand. You know, government announces at the age of retirement, and then you stop working, you start getting a pension, and here you go. I'm retired now. And that means I must be now able to understand the theological science of Krishna consciousness. Not, no, that is not enough. It is pointed out that retirement has nothing to do with the age or the government schemes of pension or to do with the earnings of living entity who's worried about his daily prasad, daily food and living. So this is not retirement. Retirement means that you have to cultivate spiritual wisdom, spiritual culture. You have to live the culture of spiritual knowledge. And then by doing so, you're not getting involved in the materialistic activities. Your senses are still very active because you're doing spiritual activities. Otherwise, your senses are already struggling. Mind is already struggling with the modes of nature. Whether you do any activity or you don't do any materialistic activity, the mind will continue to struggle, will continue to pull one into the future and past the anxieties and the distress and the hankering. All of that will continue to come forward before one person. But if one is advanced spiritually by studying and applying that knowledge in one's life under the spiritual guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, then one can be considered as retired. Retired here does not mean no work. Retired here means retirement from the attachments of the material life, and one gets attached to the spiritual life. That's the kind of retirement required. It's not easy. We are divided in the material world, mostly engulfed into the modes of nature. Modes of nature are governing us. Specifically, if we look at the modes of nature, which is the chapter 14th of Bhagavad Gita, we know what happens with the mode of passion. Mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings. Unlimited. Two things are described unlimited in this verse. If you look at this verse, unlimited Lord. And now we see in this verse, unlimited desires and longings. On one side, spiritual life is unlimited because Lord is unlimited. One can understand Lord. If one cannot understand Lord, unlimited Lord, whilst having unlimited desires and longings to enjoy this world. Because mode of passion will force one to have this unlimited desires and longings. And he'll continue to work towards these desires. When he's having this kind of desires in the heart to have money, power, name, fame, and everything else that goes along with it, thinking himself to be very innocent, really. Oh, I don't do anything. wrong to people. I love my neighbors. I follow all the rules laid out by the council. And inside, he has got hundreds and thousands of material desires of enjoying the senses, prostitution, gambling, sophisticated way of gambling these days, eating cow meat and all kind of others meat, harming living entities all around, doing things which are going to harm the future of the nature, not looking into a conducive way of living and protecting the old, protecting the female, the child's, abortions, all kinds of nonsense going on in the heart. Also, outwardly, I'm cool. You will drink at home, you'll get indulged in all sorts of sinful activities. Outwardly, very innocent, following everything, wearing nice coat, pants, tie, looking like a gentleman, looking like a gentleman. So these unlimited desires and longings in the heart are there. And if they are present in the heart, how can one understand the unlimited Lord? Because unlimited desires will lead one to unlimited ways of working to gratify senses in the unlimited, or rather 8.4 million species of life. It will go on and continue on. So in one of the lectures, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning, when there are too many materialistic activities by the people in general, all over the world, no wonder that a person or nation attacks another person or nation on slight provocation. Even the slightest provocation will lead to fighting of nations, fighting of societies, fighting of communities, fighting of religions, fighting of people, individuals, neighbors, brothers, even mother, fathers. This is the rule of this age of Kali, quarrel. Atmosphere is already polluted with corruption of all description, and everyone knows it well. There are so many unwanted literatures full of materialistic ideas of sense gratification. People in general want to read. That's a natural instinct, but because their minds are polluted, polluted means it's not some kind of green statement, it's not that we are trying to get rid of carbon, reducing a carbon footprint. Minds are polluted by material desires, by desire to enjoy the material energy. So they want, because the minds are polluted, they want that kind of literature which can help them to gratify their senses. Under the circumstances, transcendental literature like Srimad Bhagavatam will not only diminish the activities of the corrupt mind of people in general, but also it will supply food for their hankering after reading some interesting literature. In the beginning, they may not like it because they might be suffering from jaundice and therefore reluctant to sugar candy. But that's the only remedy for the jaundice. Eat sugar candy, drink sugarcane juice. Similarly, let there be a systematic propaganda for popularizing reading of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, which will act like sugar candy for the jaundice-like condition of sense gratification. When men have a taste for this literature, other literatures which are creating poison to society will then automatically cease. See, this line is so amazing. When men have a taste for this literature, the other literatures which are catering poison to society will automatically cease. Similarly, when one start to develop a spiritual culture, all the material activities will automatically cease. We are sure, therefore, that everyone in human society will welcome Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is the purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam. That is the purpose for which Srimad Bhagavatam has been written. Now, we understand that not everybody is going to approach for the pure devotion service. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is mentioning in chapter 7, verse number 16, Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritana arjuna Artha Jigyasu Artharthi Jnani Cha Bharatarishabha. There are four kind of people who are going to approach me. Now, in the Kali Yuga, there are people who don't even approach, right? And Prabhupada is saying that Srimad Bhagavatam will give that relief to people that they are looking for, they're hankering for, they don't know it. Now, Krishna is saying that even those who are approaching me, there are four kinds. All of them are not looking for pure devotional service. There are four kinds, and all of them have their own objectives. One who is distressed, he's looking to get rid of his distress. One who is the desire of wealth. Why desire of wealth? People think that if I get wealth, I'll become happier. Ultimately, they're hankering for happiness, but they think wealth is the medium of happiness. They don't know. Happiness has nothing to do with wealth. Happiness is a state of consciousness. One may have wealth, but he could be very miserable. A lot of wealth, all her children have gone away, wife has divorced. What is this person doing with all the wealth in his 12-room bungalow, living on his own, waiting for the deathbed? That's distress. Similarly, if somebody is very inquisitive about spiritual life, then he can come to Krishna, and who is searching knowledge of the absolute truth. And that knowledge, that's not just gyan, it can lead to bhakti. So we understand by this that the same verse is taken in Chaitanya Charitamrita as well. And I found the purport of this verse quite useful. To begin with, there's a 4 Varna and 4 ashram, and that's human society, because these Varna and ashrams are not there in the animal society. If the human society does not have this Varna ashram system, that is considered to be as animal society. In Kali Yuga, therefore, is describing that they are like two-legged animals, and therefore their desires are like that. And in those hearts, one has to cultivate Krishna consciousness. So if we have these 4 divisions, Brahmachari ashram, Grasta ashram, Vanaprastha ashram, Sannyas ashram, as well as you have these 4 Chaturvarna Maya system, Guna Karma Vibhaga. So you have Shudras, and you have Kshatriyas, and you have Vaisyas and Brahmanas. So if you have these 4 kinds of ashrams and 4 kinds of varnas, then one gets very trained into the science of Krishna consciousness. But in those ashrams, again, people will come to Krishna because artho artharthi jigyasu. So they have the need, artho artharthi jigyasu cha jnani cha bharat rishabha. So either who is somebody very inquisitive, they'll come. But again, they have mixed desires to come to Krishna. Therefore, they have to be trained. Now, if somebody is very distressed, like the devotee Gajendra, he was distressed and approached Lord, but he reached to the purity of devotional service. Others, such as Dhruv Maharaj, approached Krishna for the desire of wealth and opulence. And then Sukadeva Goswami approached the Lord in the pursuit of knowledge. And ultimately, they all took up to the devotional service. And that is the pure reason of Srimad Bhagavatam, how one can come to the state of pure devotional service. And Srimad Bhagavatam has therefore a capacity or power to bring about revolution in the world. Tadvaga visargo janatagaha vipalavo asmin yat prati sholokam abhadavati api namani anantasya yasho ankitani yat namani anantasya yasho ankitani yat shivananti gayanti grananti sadhavaha yasmin prati shlokam abhadavati api. Even if the shlokas are not written correctly, the interpretations are not correctly mentioned. Namani anantasya yasho ankantani, because it is describing the unlimited qualities of the unlimited Lord. Namani anantasya yasho ankitani yat gayanti grananti sadhavaha. It has, they will be relished by the devotees. And Tadavaga Visargo Janatagha Viplavo. Janatagha means the entire populace, mass population will bring about revolution, Viplava, Viplavo. That is the power of transcendental literature. And all other literatures are the place of the pilgrimage of crow. We read this in previous verses. नायकगतश्चित्र पदम हरयशो जगत पवित्रम प्रगणीत करहिचित तद्वायसं तीर्थम उशन्ति मानसा न यत्र हंसा निर्मन्ति शिक्षयः तद्वायसं तीर्थम. It is place for the, or the pilgrimage place for the crow.
Right here, straight as
You
possible.
understand
So you're
that
just moving with
how
the side of your body right here.
people
You
are
go down as
generally
far as you can.
completely
This
impacted
movement, you're going to feel the muscles get
by
activated.
the, okay, we can hear some kind of commentary from some background. Okay, thank you. Tadvayasam Tirtham. That is considered to be the pilgrimage place of crows. And the literature which is related to Krishna, such as Srimad Bhagavatam, have the power to revolutionize the mass population. And therefore, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying that we who are devotees of the Lord, who are representatives of the Lord, it is their moral duty to inject the knowledge of Krishna consciousness into the mass population whose their hearts are materialistic, and by force or by hook, by crook, try to find out a way, devise some expert means, somehow or the other, they take the medicine of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, and once they hear and take the dose will have an impact on them. We may see it, we may not see it, but because it is a medicinal dose, it will have an impact on the consciousness, and therefore the change in consciousness of the heart of the mass population, a revolution will come. And this is the revolution which is what will be brought about by Srila Prabhupada's books, and specifically in this age of golden age of Kali, this revolution, this Viplava, Janatagaha Viplavo will happen because of the books Srimad Bhagavatam. And this Srimad Bhagavatam is presented by Srila Vyasadeva on the order of Narad Muni, Dev Rishi Narad, keeping this in mind, that how this devotional service, devotional literature will bring about a revolution in the future of the life of Kali Yuga. The greatest benediction given to us, and rightly so, because Vyasadev's heart was not completely satisfied, and by doing, after writing Srimad Bhagavatam, he'll feel complete perfection of his own austerities, of his own tapasya, of his own knowledge. Okay, so it's already 37 past, and I will close this session here. If there are any comments or questions, we can take that. Okay, if there's none, that's fine. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhuvaiva cha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for so wonderful class. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.